All right, here is my automated hen house. All the components lined up in the house as I was trying to get it figured out. And I think it's all ready to be installed, so I'm about to install it. So I've got an Arduino running everything. I have actually used up every single one of all 13 pins. All right. I've got a 12 volt power source that comes in, and then I immediately split the 12 volts, and some of the 12 volts goes to this relay, and some of the 12 volts goes to this thing, which no one's seen before. This is a motor driver, and the difference between a relay, which will open and close a circuit to turn something on and off, versus a motor controller, is the motor controller will also allow you to spin things forwards or backwards. So it essentially will alternate which of those red and black wires right there are positive or negative. So when it comes to this motor, if they reverse it, it'll spin clockwise, or if we leave it normal, it'll spin counterclockwise, or vice versa. I'm making that up. I don't know which one's which. Right there is a clock module. All right. This little breadboard right here is really because I needed a whole bunch of inputs and outputs for my 5 volt power supply and my ground. So that's pretty much just a whole bunch of grounds and 5 volt power to run all the little components. All right. So essentially, what can this thing do? Let me close it. And essentially the clock, and I can't show you this part, I did it with seconds earlier to make sure it worked, and it does, and then I updated it to the hours, and I can't, unless I change the programming, I can't show you. But essentially, at 6 a.m., this motor will fire up and start reeling in, and when you see the hen house, you'll see that I have a string that is what causes the door to go up and down. So I had my choice. I could either timer it and try to decide and figure out the exact timing on how long it takes to wind a string up and to undo a string. But I was kind of worried that it would be off over time, and sooner or later it would pull too hard and damage something. So I decided to go with sensors. So what I have here is this one says door to yard open, exclamation point. That's because the door to the yard allows them the free range, but it also allows raccoons and other things to get in and eat them. This one says coop fully closed. This one says coop fully raised. And this one are my indicator lights. R is for the coop door is open, and it doesn't have to be fully open, it's just not closed. Green, coop is closed, and white is yard door open. So I'm actually going to install those on my outside of the hen house where I can actually physically see them from my house. It may be too bright to see through the window, but right behind the piano, you'll see a brick building, and then it goes to green wood. The green wood part is where the hen house is. In fact, that's the laying box is that little piece I built right there so that we can get the eggs right there. So somewhere right above the laying box, I will install these lights, which means there's a lot of parts in the house itself that I can see these lights in the dark, and it'll indicate if something's wrong at night. You don't really care in the daytime because predators aren't really going to get them in the middle of the day. It's at night that you have to worry about. So let's see this thing work. Now, maybe I want to open or close it in the middle of the day for some reason. So I have 2 override buttons. And so if I get over here and I hit, right now the green light's on, which means the door is fully shut. Which means if I want to try to lower the door, which is green, because green is safe and shutting the door would always be safe. If I push it right now, it doesn't work, all right? And the reason is because I told it not to go down if it's already closed, because I don't want it to try to break anything. But it will go up right now. Well, oh, I've got too many things going. I have an impossible scenario right now. I have coop fully raised. This is a magnetic switch, so if I back off, coop fully raised and coop fully closed, those two things can't happen simultaneously. So right now, I've got them both open, which would mean the door was only halfway open. It's not fully open or fully closed. If it goes to fully raised, it's red. If it goes to fully closed, it switches to green. All right, so now I'm at fully closed, and that means I could push the red button and she'll reel in. All right, as that reels in, this guy would be lifted off, and I can do either one now. I can raise or I can lower. So the motor driver is actually switching the polarity on the back of this thing to make it either go clockwise or counterclockwise. Now, if I raise it far enough, it will reach coupe fully raised, and these things will touch, and the light won't change because it's still open, but what won't work is it will no longer go up. If I lower it now, the door would have gone down. This goes to here. Notice that the light went green. All right, and now I can't go down, but I can go up. All right, the white light, the white's the most dangerous one because that means the run's open to predators, and it has nothing to do with the motor because I don't have a motor on the run door. It's too big. A person could fit through it. But you can see that the white light, I've realized that in the middle of the night, I don't want both green and white because the green might keep me from seeing the white. So I might do something like after a certain time period, the green shuts itself off. Or maybe it just blinks slowly. And then I decided, well, heck, if I'm doing this, sometimes I like a light to be on in there so I can find the eggs sometimes. So I added a button to turn on some lights, some LED lights. So I'm going to string those in there too. Using the same button to turn things on and off was really tricky. I had to put some delay in there because if I go too fast, it won't trip it. So you got to hold it down enough, and then you got to hold it down enough again, because the problem is, keep in mind that this is programming code and it's reading it so fast that it would just sit there and simultaneously turn the light on, off, on, off, on, off faster than your reflexes. So I had to put a delay in there, which kind of messes with it a little. All right, so I think that's all the capabilities. I had to do a lot of soldering. I had to solder, well, all over the place. I had to connect wire ends to stuff. So now I'm going to install it. All right, you're going to find out with me whether or not the thing breaks or not. I don't really know when it's supposed to begin. I just know we're 30 seconds away from my phone being at 9 p.m. So it should unwind right here, and that should make the door. Oh! It worked! It went green, so therefore the door on the inside ought to be nice and down, and it is. The door is down. All right, so there we go. Hello, chickens! All right, good deal. All right, we're about to tour the hen house after I have installed everything. This is bright daylight, so possibly you don't notice the red light right there, but I promise you I can easily see it from the back windows of my house in the kitchen. It works actually really great. There's a good line of sight. So yeah. So red tells me that the door is open at the moment, and I'll switch it to green in a second. So let's open up the hen house. All right, so here's my eggs for today because my idiot chickens don't use the boxes. All right, one does. That's it though. All right, so there's their entrance and exit. I don't feel like crawling up in there. Let's see if I can. All right, so you can see there's the opening, and that goes down below, and everything, so you can see them in there. Essentially, I put sensors. There's one sensor on the door, and as that sensor rises or lowers, it either activates the one on the top, telling me it's open, or it activates the one on the bottom, telling me it's closed. And this is where I've got everything hooked up. I had to estimate the lengths of wires, and I was way off on that. So one day when I'm bored, I might come out here and cut them and splice them and shorten everything a little bit. but it works fine. It's just all entirely too long. Previously, we would come out here and we would grab that red string and we would tie it off on that boat cleat, and we had to do that morning and night, and rainy or not rainy, we had to do that. The chickens would get pretty mad in the morning if we slept in, and I wasn't very happy when it was rainy, having to come out here in the dark and whatnot. So let's override it, and I can push the green button, and while I'm pushing, we'll do it this right here. All right, so notice I never let go and it quit on its own, and that light up there went green. I installed one on the inside, but then it also changed to green out here. All right, why did it shut off? Because the little magnet on the door has now traveled and he's tripped the bottom sensor. All right, if I wanted to, I could grab a hold of the rope and override it, and you can see how the sensor would go up or down and make one or the other. And you can also see how my lights will change based on what I've done. So now I can hit up and it stops as soon as it raises all the way. All right, so those are the sensors I have to make it know when to raise and lower. And then there's another one outside if we want to let them free range, but I can't let them out at the moment, so I can't actually show you that one. I'll try to show you the wiring, and that's all I can show you. And the reason I can't let them out at the moment is because the neighbor's dog, a grown relative with a dog is visiting. Yeah, I can't show you, but anyway, right here I have another one of those same magnet sensors, and when this door is open, that means that they can free range, but I can't let them free range at the moment because there's a dog next door that would probably eat them. He's not the most well-behaved dog, and he's big. All right, so anyway, that's it. That's my project. I'm sorry it's not as impressive as some of the clocks that y'all submitted for me, but anyway, it's what it is.